no disrespect to any kind of artist. I love all music. Everyone do what you want to do. But, you know, like, there are certain... we were just talking about this. There are, like, artists where it's like, you might not... maybe for lack of understanding of musical... or not as much musical experience, where you're just not as, like... do I want to say this?
like you're just not like music theory wise, you're not as like educated, and so you're not like inclined.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going with this?
More so, I think there are artists who aren't in it for the art.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
because I was gonna bring that up with what you were talking about regarding like, you will know the right people to work with depending on how that money conversation goes.
Right.
Because there are people that are in it because they just like enjoy doing this and like they think it's fun, or like they specifically like your art and they want to work with you. That doesn't mean that you know, they work for free.
Right.
But like how that conversation goes can show a lot about a person and why they are creating the art and like why they're doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
You can very easily spot people that are like only in this to like hustle and rip people off and like charge up the ass and make a lot of money. And you get to a certain point where like your skill and your experience and your clout, for lack of a better word, precedes you, and you have to value yourself higher.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's not to invalidate that.
Yeah.
But like when you're at this point, you're unsigned, you're like working you have a day job and then you're doing this as a second job. You know what I mean? Like, because you can tell.
But I think at this point in our career, like, artistic integrity is one of the only things that we have, right? Where it's like, I'm not trying to shade you or myself or anybody, but like, your songs ain't making you no money. They like this 0.009 cents.
Yes.
That ain't doing shit for you. Like, you can get a gig. We're not gonna, like, it's not gonna pay your bills. Like, I feel like really pay like all of your rent and all your bullshit, right? I feel like artistic integrity is the only one of the things you have where it's like, I can hold on to this and know that like this like makes me feel like I truly have something that's mine. And I think a part of that is what encourages people to be like, you know what, maybe you don't have it right now, but I want to work with you because I want to work on good shit. Like, I want to put out things that are good. Like, I know what my value is, but I feel like your dedication to the art and making good shit is part of where that value comes in, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm willing to compromise what my rate is because I know that you like you really care about the music, and not necessarily because like so many people are artists for different reasons. It's like, you want to be artists because you want to be Instagram famous, or you want to hit a lick, or you want to like, some people just want to like, thinks it's like a glamorous lifestyle, right? And a lot of artists, like, you can tell who those artists are because usually they don't have a career long. It's like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just different. So like, and so like artists, there are artists like that who like have that goal. Like, when I think of myself as an artist, and like, I think when like true artists like think of them, like there's like videos of Beyonce when she was like 22 and they're like, what would you think of yourself? She's like, a legend in the making. And she's like, there's like a legend. She's like, in the making, I said in the making. And look at her now. You know what I'm saying? Like, she like, when I see myself in my career, like ideally, it's like, this is like, I want to like be doing this 10, 20, 30 years down the line, to the point where it's like, I will never touch Beyonce. So like, obviously, but like to the point where I'm still invested in making new art, and people are still invested in like seeing me, and that like I've stamped myself in the music industry, where it's like people know me. That's when like I think about like, I think artists who really like are artists aspire for that. Like, you want to be one of the legends, one of the greats, one of the people that's like made their mark. That's something that like I think about a lot when I think about my career. Yeah,
I get that. Like, I've heard, I don't know whose quote it is, but I saw it the other day on like Reels, and someone saying like, oh, if you're really like a true musician at like heart and you love what you do, or you're a true artist, like, you never really retire. Yeah. Like Elton John, for example, I saw him live at Dodger Stadium, that like last show that he did. I was supposed to be like his last tour or whatever. And then he's on stage with Joni Mitchell. It's like, he can't not perform. Like, he's like, I'm going to take a break. I'm done. I'm going to spend time with my family. And then he's like still performing with people. Like, there's no such thing.
I never trust a singer or any kind of artist when they're like, this is my last album. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, your last album is the one you make before you die, because like, or it's unintentional because it's like, because like, whenever an artist is like, this is my last album. No, it's fucking not. You make music not just because it makes you money, because you are passionate about it, because you love music, right?
Yeah.
And it's as long as you are physically like fucking what's that nigga's name? Smokey Robinson. is still out here making freak music
Up
for
there.
freaky people and still performing, and people are still going, and he's like 80 something. So like, as long as you are physically capable of it, I think that Diana Ross,
Yeah.
she's still performing, and she's like, I think 70s, 80s or
Crazy.
something.
Yeah,
So it's
even
like,
Joni Mitchell. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's
that's
what
like
I'm
one of
saying,
those.
where it's
She's like barely.
you-
She's not even mobile anymore.
like,
You know,
but it's like that. But that's how much that brings you that fire, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, I said this before, where it's like, if I like lost my ability to like sing, I would be like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, but also like you'd still probably be on stage playing tambourine.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
doing something. 'Cause
You'd be
it's
doing
like-
something,
right? But it's like that's what fuels you.
Yeah.
And once as long as you're able to do it, I feel like that's what I said earlier. Where it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I wanted to do something else.
Yeah,
it's
this
all
is
I wanna do.
all I've ever wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like can't really picture anything else. That's why it's like such a crazy, and that's a huge testament to like that, what, 28,000 hours, 10,000 hours
Yeah,
thing. Like
10,000,
it
yeah.
definitely takes more than that. Like, let's be real. Maybe that if you're lucky, but like more than that, because for most people that success story is long. It's like a decade or more. The one thing I was going to say that related to what you were discussing before regarding like, you know, doing work for free or like discounting work and things like that. When there's passion projects that are involved, there are so many famous stories about producers or people in the industry that like, I mean, admittedly, there's two sides to this. Yeah. One side is that people got bad deals and bad contracts but they loved it anyway. So they either they didn't realize or, you know, an attorney advised them not, you know, and they still went with it because they just love it, you know? And then there's the other side of it where people, you know, producers, musicians, writers, like artists intentionally did work for free just because they loved the work that they were doing. And then it's like, if they had never done that free work or discounted work, their career wouldn't have had the trajectory it had because it connected them to someone else or it connected them to someone that was like a lifelong collaborator. And it just goes to show that like if you're doing it for the right reasons, things are going to fall into place regardless. And as long as you're not like selfish and weird and greedy, like people are going to want to work with you because they can sense that. Especially it's like music's a very like emotional, a very like soul touching like space to be in. Like the business side of it, it's important to like have the knowledge so that you know what kind of boundaries to draw with yourself as far as like your rights go. But it's soul sucking. You know what I mean? Like that everyone knows nowadays, that's no secret that like there are aspects of the industry that are really the opposite of what music is at its heart.
100%.
And that's the craziest thing is that like how can something vibrationally be so amazing and so like connecting, like you said, people all across the world. And then, you know, people in the same room when you work on stuff, when you write a song, when you know, like I saw the clip of Pharrell and JT Rock Your Body. And it's like when you have moments like that are like epiphany moments and that is magic. Like that, whatever you want to call it, that's God, that's the universe,
I agree,
whatever you want to call it, there's something special there. And then to have on the opposite side of the spectrum, this greed, this like corporate, like fucking leech bullshit that's tied into it is so depressing. Just like the reality of that.
When
you know,
creativity meets capitalism, those things don't meet. They don't work together, right?
Yeah.
Because like you can't like as soon as you tell an artist you need to write this kind of song and do it this kind of way, most artists are gonna be like, no, like and like you're like the creative in you is gonna be like, I do what I want. Like you can't tell me what to do. But
Love Song as
like,
a perfect example.
And I think the label can literally Love Song, but like I think the label can be good and bad. I don't think labels are all evil, but like I do think it's like what their goal is does not align a lot of times with what the artist's intentions are, right? Like I think artists that are truly invested in like the art don't necessarily get into music, especially at this point, to be rich. You're not going to be rich. It's like it's because you love it, right? And you don't want to compromise like your creativity. The label is not as much interested in that. The label is interested in making money.
Yeah,
and you are an investment to them.
Yeah,
and
they're a bank.
They're a bank, and we need a return on our investment. Yeah. And like so. You can have all of your feelings and your woo-woo and your artist and like your connection, but it's like, okay, when's the album going to be done?
Yeah.
So who are we marketing this to?
Yeah.
How is this going to make us money, right? And like it is such a weird thing because like music can make not as much as it used to, but music can make you so much money, but it also can make you so little. Like because like if your album is doing well, that's streams can be one thing. It's not that much, but it's one thing. But then that's also like we can do live performances, we can get brand deals, we can do all the radio, we can get all these things that connected to it, so we can make a lot of profit from your music. But on the other end of it, if we put $300,000 into this album and you made $50,000 from the album altogether, then you're in a tight spot. So
yeah.
It is like, yeah, labels aren't necessarily interested in creative integrity. They're interested in like what's going to make us profit. Yeah. And that's funny that you brought up 360 deals, because like once I started to understand first of all, most artists have a 360 deal. Most artists that you think, and that's why it's so funny when people like artists try to shade each other, be like, oh, I know you in that little 360 deal. So are you.
Yeah.
So is almost everybody.
Most people are.
Because most contracts
very small
explicitly say your music videos, everything that you do, we own that. Mm-hmm. And I still somewhat hope to be signed to a record label one day, but the idea, I'm not signing a deal where you own my music. Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
And you have to have clout to be able to refuse that. You know what I mean? Or you have to have at least like capital on your end that's like financial capital on your end to be able to refuse something. They're very, I want to say I know Russ for sure just has distribution deal.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a 360. He's one person I know for sure. I think Chance the Rapper.
Chance is independent, I think. He might have a publishing deal now.
I don't know the logistics, but I know for sure that I remember because I was a huge fan of Russ before he was signed, before he had any kind of deal. And
this was like back in like 2016. You were a fan of Russ, way before he blew up.
I was like hardcore, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just an interesting kind of. I remember, I don't know if he went live or if he like posted about it or posted a video or something explaining that, you know, because he that was like not like part of his personality or brand, but like he was big on being like independent. Like he bragged about that, you know, and then he made like content regarding signing a distribution deal and like the difference, like what that meant. He was like, I'm only he was adamant, like I'm only signing if I can keep the rights to all of my stuff and I can own all my shit. And the distribution deal, I feel like I can see in a lot of ways, like artists, if you have the ability to garner like social media following and you're able to pull people out to shows and do all this stuff, but just like you're missing that extra kind of like budget that could kind of push it out a little bit more, like a megaphone in a way. Then distribution deals are like the perfect kind of thing. But I know that's like
it's not easily attainable.
Labels don't really have a vested interest in wanting to give out only distribution deals, because if they see someone that's successful, they go, oh, I want a piece of that success. And I want to be able to, you know, like give you a false promise that I can magnify and make that success exponential in the hopes that, you know, when it does, I take essentially more money than you do. Yes. So it's like, it's an interesting thing because there are circumstances like that where like, honestly, he got really lucky that there was someone willing to sign only distribution with him, because not a lot of labels will be interested in that.
I think Megan Thee Stallion just signed like the first ever like where she owns like her music and like has publishing with like I think it was Warner Brothers.
Okay.
It wasn't Sony and it wasn't UMG, so I think it was Warner. But it was like the first deal like ever where it's like I own it. I'm creatively in charge of it. Everything, I get to do it. You guys are just in charge of promoting it. Which like that deal, like, I remember when that
like a promotion deal.
Yeah, pretty much. And when that came out, I was like, that deal is like, that is the ideal artist deal where it's like I get to creatively do whatever the fuck I want. Y'all just like do when I'm ready, you're ready to roll it out, right?
That's gonna set a precedent for sure.
Yeah, that's what I literally thought when it came out. I was like, oh, this is because like now artists can be like, well, this person has this kind of deal. Why are you trying to have all of my music? Because that doesn't, I literally remember when Chance the Rapper back in like 2013, 2014, 2015 talked about it. When I was like, it does not make sense that you did all of the artistic work for it to exist. And the label is like, it's ours. What do you mean? You didn't do anything for it. Especially like I understand, like I've worked for adjacent to labels and we're music business majors. I understand why the label thinks that way, right? Yeah. It's like we need to like clear on our investment, but it just doesn't make any fucking sense that like you get to own but it's like, but why it's so common that it's like the label's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Do you want to be
that's
signed,
your
right?
only option.
And a part of it is
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, we're gonna take your career to the next level. Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
But the fucked up part
that's not
about
always
that
the case.
is
Yeah.
that it's not always the case.
Not
And
a
sometimes it's like it
guarantee.
doesn't. Sometimes it takes more than 2 or 3 albums to make it big.
Yeah.
It takes sometimes for some people it takes like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And like after your second project not hitting whatever metrics, the label's like, okay, we're not invested in spending as much money or giving you as much time. Like clearly you are not the thing that we think you are. But like think about, and I love that you said earlier, like there's like years before like an artist like really blows up that you like there's videos of Doechii coming out from like 5 years ago on fucking YouTube, like there and people are calling her an industry plant. You're a fucking idiot. You don't know what an industry plant is. Like there's always 5 to 10, even with Lizzo blew up overnight. There was like 5 to 10 years, but there's usually 5 to 10 years before an artist blows up that they were grinding, you didn't know who they were. So that's why when people are like, how did they just get this #1 out of nowhere? This bitch has been working for years and years, and you're trying to be like, I didn't know about them.
The stars had to align
like,
for this to happen.
Do you know how hard it is
know.
nowadays to break through the noise? Like, and especially like Doechii is super fucking talented, but she's a dark-skinned black woman. It's not very easy for them to like, you know, be the moment. So like that shit was so fucking stupid. But like, yeah, it's like it's a long grind. And like even fucking Sabrina Carpenter. Sabrina Carpenter was on Disney Channel and she had like 2 or 3 albums that came out before what's this shit called? Not Taste, Short and Sweet. Short and Sweet. And because her last Emails I Can't Send or whatever, her album before this one, it did like fairly well, but I would say like upon its like initial debut release, it wasn't received super well. But like what's that song that she has where she did a little sexy outro for it every time? Like I'm just being honest. That one was actually called it feels so good.
Octave, baby.
What's that shit called? I forget what it's called. But like I feel like that song blew up post the album coming out because she was on Taylor Swift's tour, so she was opening it, and every time she did like a different little like play on the words. Nonsense. She did like a like play on the words at the end of it and kind of like started to trend. So people started to like follow her a lot more. And that was the first one that I feel like really like blew up for her. But that's like 2 or 3 albums before Espresso came out and was like her biggest fucking hit. And now everyone's like tapped into her, right? I have had friends who loved Sabrina Carpenter back in 2020. When she was, you
also
know.
the kids have been woke to her because of Disney Channel.
So like, but think about that. She was on Disney Channel. That she already had a platform, and it still took her that long to get to the point where she's at now.
Like for her, like personal projects to like really be like radio. Yeah. Like
so like
get a lot of attention.
I think people have to keep that in mind where it's like, I certainly do, where it's like you're not gonna blow up overnight. No one blows up overnight. Even if you think they do, you probably didn't. Even if they are really an industry plant, they didn't blow up overnight. There has been things that have been going for like an industry plant is at least like 2-3 years.
Industry plant is like a nepo baby that like got handed that got handed attention and A&R development like an old school artist used to get.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like you were talking about how development doesn't exist anymore. Development exists for people that
because if you're a rich child and you have a rich parent who's in the industry, they knows what it takes to be an artist, so they can put you in dance lessons when you're 8. They can put you in vocals lessons when you're 8.
They can provide that.
I'm so glad I talked about this because I meant to say earlier when we were talking about school that being like musically educated is low key an elitist space, because if you want to be like performing piano at a level where you can get into a Berklee College of Music or get into like a USC by the time you're 18, you need to start paying piano by the time when you're 8. Your parents need to pay for that piano lesson. That's not cheap. I didn't grow up poor. I grew up fairly comfortably middle class, but like I had one parent home and it was stretching one budget amongst 2 kids and managing a home. I can't pay for your musical lessons. That's why I played saxophone. I was in choir because that's where my music education came from, right? So it is a certain level of like elitist and access, because it's like not everyone can pay, especially if you have like a super, it's like who the fuck plays the oboe? Like if you have like a super like niche instrument where it's like I can't just get access to whatever, like this is gonna be more expensive because like who the fuck just teaches oboe? You know what I'm saying? Well, people do, obviously. I'm just saying it's like probably like harder to find. So it is like you have to think about like there are so many barriers that like you have to cross, and as an independent smaller artist, you're doing that yourself. When you're like have a label, those like a lot of those ceilings are opened up for you now. We have so much access to so many different things. But yeah, the label lacks patience, where it's like Janet Jackson's first album did not do well. I mean, not in terms of, compared to Control that followed it up, it was not the moment, right? Like, and think about like Michael Jackson's first 2 albums did super well, but he had already been in the musical zeitgeist since he was like
Jackson
5-6 years
5,
old.
yeah.
So by the time he was putting that out, people already knew him and knew his talent.
Yeah.
So
it's like Harry Styles.
literally,
Yeah.
it's not a coincidence. It's like, oh my God, labels love a boy band, and they love, literally, it's so similar to the K-pop structure, and no one talks about it. I love K-pop, but like, because that's what K-pop does. We're like, okay, we're gonna make a group where it's like, with sometimes up to like 25. It's not gonna be shady, but I'm saying with a lot of people, and we're going to like develop them all into art. Well, like yeah, like in K-pop training, we're starting with a group of like 35, and then we're cutting it down to get a group of like maybe like 3 to 10, and like, we're getting them all to a really fine point of artist development, and we're going to put out this musical product as a group, right? And then from there, we can see like, okay, who are they gravitating more towards? Oh, they clearly love this fine ass Middle Eastern boy Zayn. They like him a lot. This curly haired white boy, they love him a lot too. Clearly, we need to make them the front man because they are being the ones that everyone loves, and they did not expect people to love Zayn. They did not expect that because he's brown. But then when the girls loved him, they were gagged.
Favorite.
Of course he was. He was fine. But actually, who was my favorite first? Niall. I was a Niall girl. What? And with the rumors about his penis size, I was correct. But whatever.
Oh
but yeah, so it's like, it gives you a very clear, like, we've tested this product to know that it already performs well. We can even fine tune it even more and make you like literally like, I'm one of my favorite K-pop groups is Blackpink. They're a little bit of a hot water right now. But Lisa and Jennie and Jisoo and Rose are all now like having their own independent artist careers, but it came from Blackpink, right? So that's why, yeah, like Justin Timberlake's a huge success, Beyonce's a huge success, Harry Styles and Zayn, and even Niall, low-key at this point, like not low-key, pretty high-key at this point, has a very successful like folk music career. Like Camilla, like they love finding, and Normani, like we're not gonna forget about her, but like they love like being like, okay, we already know that people like you, we already know that people are invested in coming to see you and spend money on you, and they like your voice, so now we can like take you to that next level as an independent artist. And that's so why true. Like
and fans have such like an emotionally invested interest in like the band like potentially breaking up that like that anxiety when like no one like after the group is broken up, that anxiety of like, okay, who's gonna put solo, and then it's like there's so much anticipation leading up to them releasing solo music because you have this like preconceived idea of what their music is like, and then it's like, okay, well, what are they gonna do solo?
I think that's like, because NSYNC, like JT was the lead vocalist. I wouldn't have known that if someone didn't tell me, because I wasn't alive when NSYNC was really put. Like,
same.
Like those 90s into 2000s. Like by the time their last album came out, I was barely conscious. So like, but by the time I remember Justin Timberlake debuting, I remember that. And I was like, oh, at that time I'd been like, oh yeah, clearly he was definitely the leader of the group. No, he was not. He was not the lead vocalist. He was, but like you would think, but like they kind of started to push him more towards the front at the end of their run as a group, because they realized the fans were really responding to Justin. They're like, they really like him, so we should put him more towards the front because like they clearly are vibing with him and they like his voice. But JT was the front man, and JT had solo music out too, but it did not. Really, it's not what fans wanted. And like, if you listen to NSYNC's music, like a lot of people wouldn't say this, you're listening to R&B. Like a lot of their songs are R&B songs. Yeah. Period. Even their the songs they did for Trolls, like "Let Me Take You to a Better Place," that's an R&B song, and that's them now. So they've always been R&B. So I think they're like, but like in the early 2000s, like rock was still having, like it was like Linkin Park and like Green Day. So they tried to put JT in that moment. People weren't vibing for it. But I don't think that. But the nice thing about when you put R&B in a Caucasian package, people forget that it's R&B. Listen to Justin Bieber's music. Oh, yeah. That white man makes R&B and always has. But he's a white man, so it's pop. So, but yeah, Justin continued to be like, he's like, actually, you know what? I'm Justin Timberlake and I'm well seasoned, which is a literal lyric he says. And that's in fucking in Carry Out, because I'm well seasoned, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, carry out.
That just registered.
Because I'm well seasoned, if you couldn't tell. That shit is so fucking. I love Timbaland.
Too good.
That, like, JT for all of his, qualms, and Timbaland too. The music they make together is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin, like, actually, I love black people. I love black things. I love black music, and I want to be the black white boy. So, and people, yeah, like I said, people love R&B in a not black package. So he thrived. Also, I think as well, like, if you're a white, because I think, like, at this point, like, you can be a white artist who makes R&B. I don't give a fuck. But, like, and I don't think anyone really truly cares. Like, you can do whatever you want. But, like, I think, like, as far as, like, when you're a white artist doing rap or doing not traditionally, but more so in the modern area, considered like a black space in music.
Genre, yeah.
If other black artists, especially legends or people that are really respected, co-sign you, then, like, you'll be okay.
Valid.
It's like, oh, okay, like, clearly, like, I hate to be like, you're invited to the cookout, because no, you're not. You're not invited to the cookout. The cookout's not real. You're not coming. No one's invited you. Stop fucking saying that. But, like, it's like, you're cool with us. Like, we fuck with you. Like, you can be in this space. Because, like, Justin Timberlake was allowed to make R&B really good. I can't deny. Good ass fucking R&B music for as long as he was, because, like, other black artists were, like, being like, oh yeah, Justin's got it. Like, he worked with Timbaland and Jay-Z and all these famously, like, and, like, not just, like, other black female, like, it's like, also part of it is, like, he's a man, right?
Yeah.
You need other men to, like, co-sign you and to be like, oh yeah, Justin's like da-da-da. It was other big men in hip hop and R&B who were validating him that he's the one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's so interesting, because, like, yeah, it's like, it's just interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it's like one of those things where, like, if you can do it well and you, like, have respect in what you're doing, like, it's just like anybody doing, like, literally any genre, like, like Beyonce doing country, where, like, a lot of people don't, without having the knowledge of, like, Beyonce being from Texas and, like, that being her background, if they don't have that knowledge, they don't perceive her as someone that is, like, in that space, or that like, it's unexpected for them. And then it's like, well, actually, she's like, that's her. That's like her life. That's her culture. That's like where she's from.
Literally.
And on top of it, she did it well.
She did it very
well.
well.
So you can keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where, like, if someone is doing something well with respect, and it's like they're doing it justice, and they're not being, like, weird about it, then like, it's valid. You know what I mean?
Intention is super powerful, and I think there is a respectful way to approach any other culture, and to be like, because I think like Beyonce uses, like, Middle Eastern, like, elements in, like, a lot of her earlier shit, right?
Arabic scales. Arabic scales. Yeah.
I have an Arabic scale. But, like, I think there's a way where it's like you have an appreciation, you're not being weird about it, and, like, exactly where it's like people aren't gonna be like if you're not, like, bastardizing it or making fun of it or trying to, like, it's like just be respectful, and you can come hang out with us. Like, no one's like whatever, but like it is there's a fine line. I also think just being, like, aware, and also it's like, I think, like, if you're stepping into a space that's wasn't cultivated by you or for you, then you should be super hyper aware of it. And if someone's like, hey, you did something that could be seen as disrespectful to our community, be like, your first reaction to me should always be like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I did not realize that was not my intention. Moving forward, I will try to I will do better, right?
Yeah.
I hate when people are like, well, it's not because this person said it was okay. That one person does not represent a whole group of people.
Yeah.
Every individual is allowed to feel the way they feel about it. And every person has their own individual experience within that culture, maybe being the lower part of whatever that individual culture is, right?
Yeah.
So I think, like, just be aware. What am I?
You have to have your ears open and, like, be willing to, like, take criticism and like, and be willing to like in a way be willing to like improve your knowledge like surrounding the subject or, like, the genre or just, like, in general, and also be willing to, like, to understand that like that you're
this isn't yours. You're a guest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you're a guest.
Yeah, that you don't really belong. You know what I mean? Like, or at least, like, acknowledge. And also, like, I feel like a large testament to this is, like, also the people you surround yourself with. Like if we're talking about musically, like what type of like team, what other type of like artists or like producers are you working with? Are you a white person doing R&B and your whole team is white?
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
Strange.
And that doesn't I don't think that would even be like possible to exist.
Yeah, honestly,
but, like,
yeah.
but you know what I mean? I'm sure there's someone out there that would manage that. And like that's just like one example. Like I'm sure obviously we know that Beyonce working in doing a country album collaborated with country producers, country artists. And it's just like one of those examples, although she does belong to this space, so it's like not the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's a perfect example of like if you're gonna do something like as a crossover, then do it right.
Do it well and do it like show that you like were invested in learning and studying and being respectful to the space, right? Yeah. And you're right, where it's like Beyonce's from the South, she's country, she doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, she belongs to it already.
She knew people were gonna be like, why is this black woman making country music? You ain't country, blah blah blah. I'm literally from Texas, shut the fuck up. Yeah. But it is that approach of being like, I wanna show you that like I'm not just trying to come over here and take from you and profit off of it. Like especially that's another thing. Especially if you are making an like I mean, I think it's fine for artists to delve into different whatever. I love that Beyonce has a country album, a dance album, like a straight up R&B album, a pop album, right? But like, if you're a white artist and you're planning on staying, like R&B is what you do, you're only making R&B, you better be respectful. Your entire and you can speak. You can speak, but like keep it cute and don't be fucking weird. Or like, because I hate when like
don't like take up too much space.
Right.
Know when to not take up space.
Right.
Or
exactly.
you know what I mean? Know when to share your space.
Right. Because it's
important.
Like this is no matter how much you love black culture and you love black people, I am black culture. I am black people. This is my experience.
Yeah.
You can love it. And like we tea. Everyone loves us across the world. Black people are the culture standard globally. So it's like, we know we love you. That's why I'm like, I'm not mad at like a white, Latino, Asian, whatever person wanting to make R&B or hip hop or rap, because it's like, I understand like you might have grown up in Minnesota, but you saw Aaliyah and you were like, she's T. I want to be like her. Like I get it. Like being an icon and having powerful music is not just one race. But like, so I'm not bothered by it, but it's like, just like know that this isn't your experience. You loved it and you've seen it and maybe you have appreciated it and you know a lot about it, but it's not your experience. And I think just being respectful about that, it goes a long way. Because I can forgive a lot because people are human and like I don't expect you to be fucking perfect. I don't expect myself to be perfect. But like just how you move and conduct yourself and your intention is really is just super important. And I think that
I agree.
Yeah, more people would be like more supported if they understood that.
Yeah, and there would be like better stuff would be like received in a better way if like the good intentions were obvious, because not everybody has good intentions, that's for sure. Especially
like nowadays. It's like
I feel like it's just like we were saying before. I feel like it's very obvious when people have good intentions and they don't have good intentions.
Yes.
So if you don't have good intentions, people are probably going to sense it and not want to work with you.
Like, and I think like we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Like authenticity is really powerful, and like you can feel when someone's in this for like the wrong reason, or like you don't have to like appreciate like low-key Kendrick like shits on Drake for it when it's like you hop around different black cultures whenever you need a new lick or you need new sounds or whatever, and it's like you're not necessarily here because you love if you're not necessarily here because you love this, like you hear it because like you realize the power in it right now, or you see like the trending power right now, and that's not it, like because there are people who are like, I'm only about this is what I all do and this is what I get where I come from. Also, like when you're a black artist, you automatically get that R&B stick, right? Like you like, so it's like
which is another issue. That
it's like
kind of in the industry that like why does it
exactly like
automatically labeled R&B,
right? Because every R&B artist has to cross over. Like you have to have a point where it's like, okay, now you're still making R&B music, but you are considered pop because you are popular. Like people are invested in listening to your music, right? Where like SZA started off as R&B. Now people call SZA a pop artist sometimes because she crossed over. People want to hear her music, but like not just R&B spaces are looking for her, right? Where it's like when black artists go from like not only the BET Awards or whatever, like
Yeah.
like pod or whatever like platform that's black is looking for you. Now it's also like the Grammys want you and the VMAs want you to perform, and like there's other things that aren't just specifically black spaces that want to encourage you, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a part of the reason why like there is kind of like not a resentment, but like it's like touchy with other artists coming into our space, because it's like you guys, we fight for what you get automatically.
Yeah.
Like you automatically get considered to be like, oh, you are like could be pop or whatever. It's like we fight for that. So it's like if you're gonna come over here and use our shit to like amplify you, like do it respectfully, because you're already going to be a leg ahead of us just by like virtue of what you look like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would almost say, and like I've thought about this with my own music, like I would almost say now, like I put my first EP as like R&B because it was a little broken down. I was inspired a lot by Erykah Badu and like neo soul, and so I felt like the project had that element to it. But the music I'm making now and the perspective I have on it now that I'm like a little bit more, I'm like grown more into my own as like a songwriter and even as a producer. So like sonically, the things that I want to achieve is different. I also feel like I'm copying less as an artist. That's like another one of those things we were talking about, like growth as you learn and you get better at a craft. Like for me, it's like production. Like as you get better, you copy less. And so like with my first project, it was like, that's just what I was consuming a lot of at the time. And so I was kind of like pulling inspiration from that, which there's nothing wrong with, but like now I have a different perspective on it and I have different instincts production wise. And I'm trying to like pull less from my inspiration. So I view myself as more of like an alternative artist, although a lot of like the melodies are melodies and like harmony and melodies that are
it gives R&B.
Yeah, that are structured in a lot of the same ways that a lot of art like current R&B is. But like I almost feel like it's a little bit more appropriate for me to label it as alternative because it's not strict R&B. It's not I'm, you know what I mean? And I don't know if part of that is like a subconscious thing that like I'm not black, I'm white. You know what I mean? That like it feels that like it feels a little, not like a little bit disingenuous, but there is an aspect of it that's like I'm early in the game. Yeah. And it's almost like I haven't really put in enough time like studying it and like really making a lot of R&B music. Like that's when I write a song instinctively, like this me and the guitar or piano and the way I sing, that's just like that's what I have. Yeah. And then everything I add on to it is like a different layer of it. You know what I mean? So like I haven't put enough time sitting down with the goal of like I'm making this R&B song, because I don't view it in that way. Like I don't it's so weird. I've worked with like other like friends and producers and they're like, oh, what are like your inspo tracks? And that is such a weird thing to me. Like it's important. Like I get it from like an engineer's perspective sonically to have inspo tracks. But like to me, it's been kind of hard because I'm like, oh, well, I want it to sonically sound like the song. Like it's hard for me to like pull from like famous music because I feel like it's not like famous music. Like it's different structure wise, it's different like energy wise. And so I haven't really spent a lot of time comparing my own music, like at least my projects now, to like current R&B artists and art, because it's just slightly different. So like I feel like it makes more sense to me to label it as alternative or like alternative R&B. Like I wouldn't really know what else to like label it as, but I feel like that's more appropriate now because I don't sit down with the goal of being like, I'm making R&B music. You know what I mean? I'm inspired by it and that's obvious. I can't deny that like I consume a lot of R&B and that like I am inspired by it, and that when you're inspired by something, it naturally leads into the art that you make. Exactly. But so it's interesting. Like,
I mean, like I'll say to that, I'll say like we are who we are. We have the voices that we have, and we write the way they write. I've heard a lot of your songs. The wrong songs we've written together and we've worked together are very R&B. I don't think you're ever like weirdly like, let me go like try to be a black girl. No, I think you make music the way that you make music, and you're influenced by who you're influenced by, right? Yeah. And I don't think that like, and I appreciate you being so like I don't want to say tiptoe, but let's being cautious about it. Yeah. But I think even that level of thought is where it's like you can call your song R&B because there are a lot of white artists or other artists whatever who don't do that. They're like, well, I want to sound like this, and it's like, well, like you like who don't even have that thought of like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And exactly like I just said, like you're influenced by who you're influenced by, and like it comes out in your music. I think like I kind of struggle with like reference tracks too, because it's like you don't. Because I'll like hear a song and I'll be like, oh, I really like this element of the song. I kind of want to put it in one of my songs. But then there's also an issue of like, am I plagiarizing, right?
Yeah.
But like all no art, especially in the day of sampling, like no art is without inspiration from another art. So I think like I let that go a little bit, but also sometimes it's a struggle because like I've started like I asked like my roommate who's also, his name's Jaime. He's like my main collaborator. And I've asked him to make a track for me that sounds like, oh, can you make it sound similar to this song? And then all I'm hearing is that song. And even when I start to write the melody, it sounds just like the melody. I'm like, well, I don't want to write that song.
Yeah.
I want to write my own song. So I think, coming out of like, it's finding the middle ground of like, I want it to give this vibe, but I also want it to have pieces of it that are distinctly my own.
Yeah.
But I think the best art usually is when someone takes something that already exists and then adds new elements to it to make it something, a new, fresh experience of something that we've already experienced before, right?
Yeah.
And I think like that's something else too that I've come in contact with, is that like when your references, you have so many different references and you're inspired by so many different things. Like I loved Linkin Park when I was a little kid, like, and I felt weird liking it because I was a little black kid. So like I wasn't very vocal about it. But like there's so many different like things in different forms of music that I'm inspired by that like it's hard to really narrow down like what am I referencing. And I think like I wouldn't honestly, like the song that I'm about to put out now, I wouldn't call it squarely R&B. I would call it like in my soul, in my heart and soul, I'd say like pop, R&B, trap, indie kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I'd say it's more so of like I'd say like pop R&B song. But like it is one of a good friend I showed it to was like, yeah, right. I feel like there's so many different like elements that are going on where it's like so many different like references to different kinds of music in one song.
It's a journey. Yeah.
Because like I just like, just because you're so interested in different things. So it's like, it is a struggle of like, am I copying or am I inspired by? But like everyone's inspired by. Like literally like my favorite artist, if you haven't guessed by now, of all time is Beyonce. And I didn't know until like I think 2 years ago that Crazy in Love has a sample in it. That
that makes sense.
That's a sample.
It's a sample, but what is it a sample of?
I don't know. Some old ass song from like the 40s or some shit.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I realized it because Santana, you know Santana? He's a rapper. He's black and gay.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Glee character.
No.
I was like, I know Santana. Okay, yeah.
No,
the artist,
Yeah, because he has a song that uses that same sample. And I remember posting about it being like, oh my God, Beyonce cleared it. Oh my God, she cleared the sample. And everyone was like, no, that's not her sample to clear. He cleared the sample with the original person who owns it. So yeah, and like that's one thing that I remember learning too about like Beyonce, and it made me honestly far less critical of people who sample heavily, is that Beyonce's been sampling her entire career. Her entire career, she's been sampling. And most artists, honestly, like 90s on, have been sampling. Because like, that's why when people are like, you're not an original artist, you sample. Everyone samples.
Yeah, get over it.
And also like, even if you don't sample, you're like melodies are bound to sound similar. There's only so many chord progressions.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and also just like the conversation around it. It's just like, it's like clearly like as someone who has been given the knowledge through education, it's like clearly some of y'all don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like even like this one super small thing that's pisses me off when people are like, it's a sample, this sample. And I'm like, that's not a sample. That's an interpolation.
Yeah,
like, are they? It's a sample. I'm gonna get real technical for a little bit. A sample is when you take an actual piece of original track and put it in your song and interpret it. An interpolation is when you take the melody and put it in your song. If a melody sounds similar to you, that's an interpolation. If there's a piece of the original track in like the song, then that's a sample. Because even like you can like use a musical idea and like even like re-record it, and that's not necessarily a sample because you used it from this thing. But that was like a thing that Normani ran into with What's Wild Side, because it's people were like, oh my God, there's an Aaliyah sample. It was not an Aaliyah sample, it was an Aaliyah interpolation. She like took an element of the song and re-recorded it and then mixed it for her own sake. So it wasn't a sample. She took it from like but it wasn't like she took a piece of that track.
Yeah.
So And the conversation, even people within music call interpolation samples. Like, that's not a sample.
Some people don't understand the difference between like the sound recording and the the
and
actual song.
Yeah,
like,
and
there's
even
the
sometimes
difference.
that's like the sound recording versus the song is still confusing to me.
Yeah.
But like, I don't even know how I got there. But yeah, I think people like, sometimes people are like, because that's one of the things people always critique Beyonce for is that like, oh, she has so many writers on this. Honestly, I don't think this is always right, but the more writers on the product, probably the better it's going to be, I think, because that means more, especially if everyone on this project who's credited as a writer is an A+ musician, A+ producer, A+ whatever, that means you're just getting a better project because you're getting so many different perspectives and so many different artists,
different ears on it,
two different ears to get it to its best level, right? Also, that means you value crediting people for their work. So.
Yeah,
And there's so many artists, so many different people who are like, I wrote it. Like BB Rexa has so many fucking stories about like, those are my vocals on that song. And I didn't get credited. I wrote that song and I told them, please don't use it. And they use it anyway. And they're like, sorry, we're not even going to credit you as a writer on it. It's our song now.
So crazy.
Especially it's like, even it's because like there are people who are signed as writers, right? That's even like not stupider, but that's like, I would be even more in contention with that if I was signed as a writer.
Like publishing deals?
Yeah. Because it's like, every song I write, you own it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, because like if I'm assigned to like as a writer to a label, I'm writing songs for the label. So the label owns all the songs that I write. Period. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because as an artist, that's one of the things that people don't really talk about too much. Or it's talked about, but it's not talked about. It's like one of the part of the perks of being assigned to artists is that like you don't have to write all your songs anymore. The label can we can call Babyface. We can like hit up like good ass writers and get them to write. You can be like, what are you experiencing right now? What are you feeling? What's impacting you? And someone can write a song with a journal entry and write a song for you that was written by this amazing songwriter, right? Mm-hmm. Part of the privilege of being a signed artist is that like you get some of the work of being an artist that you were doing independently now is off of your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
And so all artists at this point do not write all their songs. If you're signed as like, so like I can be like as an artist be like maybe like you're less attached to like having the rights to all of the music because like, it's my voice but I didn't write all of it, right? A writer signed as a label is like all of my music that I wrote that was mine is now someone else's. That's just like I would be even more in contention with that as a writer because there's like Ray like SZA wrote like primarily first like SZA got a song Snatched by Rihanna. You know about that?
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm assuming like she looks back on it. She may look at it differently, and it's like because me personally, I did not know who SZA was before Anti came out. Yeah. I had never heard of her, but like, and she's one of my favorite artists now. So it is kind of a hindsight thing where it's like, oh, kind of what you were saying earlier. It's like, like maybe the pathway when you were earlier in your career and you weren't as known and you're doing work for free or you're giving things away that like is yours, like has led you into a way where it's like, because I think that's probably a lot of people's experience where it's like I remember being like, who's SZA? What is that?
SZA.
Like, she posted that video of the girl like running away from rat with that vine. She goes, you know, and people are like, how do you pronounce it? But it is so interesting.
It is really interesting. Yeah. Well, do you want to rap or do you want to
rap
more?
I guess we should. What should you want me to?
Yeah, so promote what you got coming out.
My name is Dion. My Instagram is dion.dd and my TikTok is dion.dd as well. I'm about to put out my very first song ever. We kind of spoke on it a little bit earlier, but I was in an acapella group in college and I haven't performed a lot since then. And yeah, it's just like I'm really excited about it. It's like a really big deal for me because I've like actively chose to like put time into it. But yeah, it's it's gonna be my debut single.
Woo-hoo.
It's called Lonely Girl. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it's not even out yet, but I'm hoping that a lot of people can connect to the meaning behind it because I feel like loneliness is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially now, especially how much like digital age bullshit, whatever. I think that, it'll be a really good representation of me as like a vocalist, a writer, as like an artist, and also I think it can give like space for a lot of feelings that people might have. And so I've been working on this for like over a year at this point. I'm really fucking excited to put it out. Caitlin has helped me.
I was so excited.
I'm
so
Annábla has helped me, excuse me. And I think it's gonna be, I'm like, it's hard for me to like praise myself and promote myself. It feels so weird.
Do it.
But I think this song is good. I think it's
great.
Thank you. I think it's really good. And I can't wait to share it because I've been talking about it for so long and I've been working on it for so long. And I really hope that work is reflected in the product. Like I hope people hear it and are like, damn, like you put his ass in this. And yeah, it's just super sick. I spent so much time away from music and I'm glad to be back in it and be doing it and like making it like my shit for real. So
Yay.
yeah,
we're glad you are too.
Should be coming. There's not a definitive release date because we doing shit independent over here. So
TBD.
We're figuring it out as we go. But it's follow
yeah.
like and whatever, and it'll be out most likely this month in April. I'm doing like some last few finishing up things, but yeah.
Very exciting. Oh my
Thank
gosh,
you.
I didn't know it was gonna be April.
Yes,
like, damn.
yes,
Okay, it's
yes.
like ready. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Everybody follow Deion, please. Give Deion a follow and be on the lookout for that. Once it's out, I'll update the description on this episode on all platforms and add the link for
there will be like a pre-save
yeah,
link and
once
all of
it's
that.
out, I'll just update this specific episode. So come back to this episode and look at the description or just check your bio. Obviously.
But also I will be back. This is not my first and only time on the Zesty podcast.
Yeah.
I will be a guest again post release. So we can talk about it then too.
That way we can talk about the release. And,
also,
and the reception
before I fucking forget, we have a song that it's like not close to being done, but like we have a song that we're working on together.
Yeah.
And then like we kind of talked about it. You touched on it a little bit earlier, when it's like when you're working on something and you're like, I know this is good. This is the first time that I worked on a song and I'm like, this shit is fire. Like, like I am listening. I'm like,
Lonely Girl is fire too, but it's fun to work like with someone. You know what I mean? Like, collaborations are fun.
And I like it was just like because Lonely Girl is a little like it's not as like much of like a dance song.
It's different.
It's different, and like the one that we're working on, I feel like is a lot more like that kind of vibe. And I was listening to it, I was like, this shit is like when this is done, this is gonna be so fucking good. Like,
when I was listening to the one you sent me the other day, I was like, no,
literally, I was like, wait, so Caitlin has helped me write this song that I'm put out. That's my song, but also this song is like us, like it's gonna be Deion and Annábla, and I think it's gonna be. I'm hoping it's going to be the next single after Lonely Girl, and I think it's going to be so dope. I think like fun. I honestly sometimes I listen to it and I'm like, God damn it, Caitlin sounds like so fucking good on this shit. No, literally. Like I just like the way your voice, I love your voice. I love the way you sing. I love your tone. And like the way your voice just glides on it. I was like, not Caitlin eating me up on my song.
I can't wait for us to do harmonies so that we can hear our voices together.
Yeah, it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be so lit.
I'm excited for that because I feel like our voices will really complement each other.
I think it's gonna be so good.
I'm so excited. I'm getting all hyped for it. But anyway, keep an eye out for Lonely Girl. Follow Deion, please. And for those of you that have not already subscribed here on YouTube, please do, or follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and give us a like, turn on the notification bells, comment down below if you have any hot takes or if you agree with anything we said or you disagree. We want to know. We want to hear it all. So please engage with this content. I want to be able to make a lot more kind of casual interview style stuff like this with other artists and creatives and just people. So please engage so that we can keep this going. And Deion will definitely be back on. Yes. We'll have to have like a shit. What's the word? Like a shit talking episode where we just kind of shoot the shit and talk about random shit. Because I think it was nice that we talked about music because I feel like we're both, you're very like educated on music and like we both have a good perspective and we have an education on it. So it's kind of fun
100%.
to talk about. We can like nerd out a little bit and like use our degree. We're using it as artists, but you know what I mean?
It's not making us no money yet, but it
will. You'll definitely be back and we'll have like a, it might be hard for us to do a completely non-music related episode because it's just part of us, but we'll have some other fun topics on. So definitely stick around and subscribe. That way y'all can be ready for that next episode when it drops. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for listening and for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful week and a fun weekend. Be safe and I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.